Hello, my name is Ari Waldman. I'm a person who stutters. Today is my video Tanya, Z48, Tuesday, December 8th, 2020, the 22nd day of the Jewish month of Kislev. I'm going to be working on pausing. Here goes. Daily study, Daily Tanya, Likutei Amorim, beginning of chapter 1. Tuesday, 22nd Kislev, 5781, December 8th, 2020. Tanya, Besof Perek Gimel, Denida, Mashbiim Oto. We learned Nida, end of chapter 3, an oath is administered to him. Before a Jew is born, an oath is administered to him in heaven, charging him. Tihi tzadik, ve'al tihi rasha, va'afilu kol ha'olam, kulo omrim, lucha tzadik ata heye, ve'enecha kerasha. Be righteous and not wicked, and even if the whole world judging you by your actions tell you that you are righteous, regard yourself as wicked. The soul of a Jew descends into a body for a purpose, in order to fulfill a specific spiritual mission in this world, to enable him to fulfill it. A heavenly oath is administered to him that he be righteous and not wicked, and concurrently that he regard himself as wicked and not righteous. The root sheva of the verb mashbiim, an oath is administered, is virtually identical with the root sheva of the verb masbiim. One causes him to be sated. Accordingly, the oath charging him to be righteous may also be understood to mean that the soul is thereby invested, sated, with the power that enables it to fulfill its destiny in life on earth. V'tzarich lahavin daha tanan avot perek vet ve'al tehi rasha bifnei atzmecha. This calls for explanation, for we have learned in the Mishnah, Avot chapter 2, but not wicked in your own estimation. How then can we say that an oath is administered to the soul, that it regard itself as wicked when this directly contradicts the Mishnaic injunction not to regard oneself as wicked? V'gam im yeh ve'inav kerasha yera levavo v'yeh atsev. Furthermore, if a person considers himself wicked, he will be grieved at heart and depressed. Lo yuchal la'avod Hashem b'simcha uvetuv levav, and consequently will not be able to serve God joyfully and with a contented heart. Apart from previously mentioned contradiction from the Mishnah, an additional question is now raised. A cardinal principle in the service of God is that it be performed with joy at the privilege of serving Him, either through performing a positive command or by refraining from that which is prohibited. How then can one be required to take an oath to consider himself wicked, when this will cause him to be depressed, making it impossible for him to serve God with joy? Furthermore, just as the first part of the oath, be righteous and be not wicked, is vital to his success, in realizing his life's mission. So too, the fulfillment of the second part of the oath, that he consider himself wicked, is imperative. How can this possibly be so, when such an attitude hinders his joyful service of God? V'lo im lo yera levavo klal mizeh, which if his heart will not be at all grieved by his self-appraisal, i.e., if we should propose that in order to fulfill the oath, the person will indeed regard himself as wicked, but at the same time resolve that his wickedness shall not perturb him so as not to encumber his joyful service of God. Yachol lavo lidei kalut chas v'shalom. He may be led irreverence, God forbid, by such an attitude, with sin perturbing him not at all. For although his original resolve that being wicked will not perturb him stems only from his sincere desire to serve God with joy, yet such a resolution may very well lead to a situation where wickedness would surely not disturb him. Ach ha'inyan, however, the above matter will be more clearly understood after a preliminary discussion of the true meaning of righteousness, of righteous and wicked. Ki hine matzinu b'Gemara Hashem chalukot tzadik v'tov lo, tzadik v'ra lo. We find in the Gemara 5 distinct types: a righteous man who prospers materially as well as spiritually. He knows only good, a righteous man who suffers in both a material as well as a spiritual sense. Spiritually, he has not yet vanquished all his evil, and in the material sense, too, he is wanting. Rasha v'tov lo, rasha v'ra lo uveinoni. A wicked man in whom there is some good and who prospers, a wicked man who suffers spiritually and materially, and an intermediate, the man, the Benoni. Rasha v'tov lo, rasha v'ra lo uvenoni. Ufershu b'Gemara, tzadik v'tov lo, tzadik gamur. The Gemara explains the righteous man who prospers is consummate, literally complete tzaddik. Once he has achieved this level of physical suffering, to cleanse the soul from the impurities of sin is necessary. He therefore prospers materially as well. Tzaddik lo tzaddik she'enu gamur. The righteous man who suffers is the imperfect, literally incomplete tzaddik. He therefore experiences some measure of material suffering, thereby cleansing the soul while it is yet clothed in the body, so that he will not have to endure any spiritual suffering in the world to come. Accordingly, the Gemara is not referring to two tzaddikim on the same spiritual level, one of whom prospers while the other suffers. Rather, it speaks of two distinct levels of tzaddikim. The Gemara thus cites only two characterizations regarding the tzaddik: consummate and imperfect, literally complete and incomplete. The terms who prospers or who suffers do not indicate his spiritual level, they merely describe his resultant material status. Uve raya mehemna parashat mishpatim perash tzadik v'ra lo shehara shebo kafuf, latov v'kule. In Raya Mehemna, Parashat Mishpatim, it is explained that the righteous man who suffered is one whose evil nature is subservient to his good nature. He is a tzaddik who still retains some vestige of evil, albeit subservient to his good nature. Accordingly, a righteous man who prospers is a tzaddik, in whom there is only good, since he has totally transformed his evil nature. According to the Zohar, of which Raya Mehemna is a part, the terms who prospers and who suffers also indicate and describe the level of the tzaddik. The tzaddik who prospers is a tzaddik in whom there is only good, the evil within him having already been transformed to good. The tzaddik who suffers is a tzaddik of lower stature, one who harbors some evil. However, we must now understand why redundant titles are given to each level of tzaddik: complete tzaddik, and tzaddik who prospers, incomplete tzaddik, and tzaddik who suffers. If the complete tzaddik is a tzaddik who prospers, i.e., in whom there is only good, and the incomplete tzaddik is the tzaddik who suffers, i.e., retains a vestige of evil, why then is it necessary to give each tzaddik two appellations? The explanation provided further in chapter 10 is that each descriptive term denotes a specific aspect of the divine service of the tzaddik. The term complete tzaddik and incomplete tzaddik denote the level of service of the tzaddik's godly soul, i.e., the tzaddik's love of God. For it is by virtue of this love that he is called tzaddik. The complete tzaddik is he who has attained perfection in his love of God, in a manner of ahava b'ta'anugim, love of delights. The serene love of fulfillment, the tzaddik whose ahava b'ta'anugim is as yet imperfect, is called the incomplete or unperfect tzaddik. The terms tzaddik who prospers and tzaddik who suffers denote the tzaddik status vis-a-vis his efforts in transforming his animal soul to holiness. For the tzaddik, through his lofty service of ahava b'ta'anugim, transforms the evil within him into holiness and good. The designation tzaddik who prospers indicates that he has already totally transformed the evil within him, and now good alone remains, while the tzaddik who suffers is one who has not yet managed to totally transform the evil within him to good. A vestige of it still remains. The explanations that follow make it abundantly clear that the evil referred to here is no more than an amorphous evil still harbored in the heart of the incomplete tzaddik. For the tzaddik has no association with actual evil that manifests itself in thought or speech.